and expose the real fraud that Dustin Doofus Poirier is. Look at this.
When I announced I'd be making this documentary on Dustin Poirier, I got a lot of the same comments. He's fake, he's a fraud.
Complete piece of shit.
Is Poirier a bad guy?
So, started digging. Lafayette, Louisiana, 1999. A cop arrests a 10-year-old kid for knocking the teeth off a 15-year-old. That'll be Dustin Poirier's first knockout.
Dustin knocked out his teeth and broke his jaw, and he was 5 years older than Dustin, and we had to go to court for that.
His father leaves when he's only 5 years old, so like many boys his age, growing up in a tough neighborhood with divorced parents, Dustin gets into a lot of fights.
He loved to fight.
My father was a fighter. My grandfather was a fighter. It's just in my blood.
Was it just a kind of a tough environment, or was it?
I'm from north side of Lafayette, Louisiana. It's a tough area.
They'd get these boxing matches going on in the neighborhood. And
were you just fighting people?
Yeah, stuff like that, getting expelled from middle school for fighting and stuff.
Dustin ends up in juvenile detention and drops out of school by the time he's 15 years old.
That's when he started skipping school and ended up in juvenile courts and boot camp and juvenile jail and all of that stuff.
When I got out of that, I just never went back to school.
To have kids show that urge, that desire to fight, is something that's often frowned upon in our civilized society, although it's something that's been very common and useful across time and cultures.
Where does that come from?
I would say it's temperamental. To think that there's a warrior temperament is a perfectly reasonable thing to think. I mean, there's been whole cultures, many cultures, who are devoted to fostering that warrior mentality.
I always wanted to be a warrior, a blood and guts warrior, and I still am that. That's just the way I'm hardwired.
It's a deep part of many people's nature. The question is, what do you do with that?
Aggressiveness is a stance towards life that rouses, energizes, and motivates. It pushes us to take the offensive and to move out of a defensive or holding position about life's tasks and problems.
It's the men that have the most aggressive and fearless temperaments that can be the best men, but it's like having a very powerful dog. You better discipline it, because otherwise it's going to be a monster.
The only good thing that comes out of his high school years is meeting the woman that believed in him since day one and recognized his potential.
And you met your wife in Louisiana?
Yeah, in middle school.
A lot of the things that Dustin learned about himself, I think Jolie already saw in him and already knew he was destined for greatness.
She believed in me at times I didn't believe,
And Beauty isn't interested in the guy who isn't the beast. She's interested in the guy who's the beast. And that's exactly right, but she's interested in the guy who's the beast that can be civilized and disciplined.
And then we got married, at 20 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is a picture of me right when I started training. I was probably about 200 pounds in that picture. Big transformation.
And as he starts boxing, he meets a UFC fighter known as
Crazy Tim.
Nuts. Yeah.
I met that guy in 98, I think. 99,
He's the
something
first
like
black
that.
belt in Louisiana.
He was very high level early on in the game.
When I met Tim, I was just a young guy trying to fight.
One of my guys, Micah, said, hey, this kid right here, he's unbelievable. He's an amateur, but you need to go spar with him. So I put my mouthpiece in, I put my gloves on, and me and Dustin did a couple rounds. And I went in the bathroom, and I spit my mouthpiece out, and a bunch of blood came out of my mouth. And I was fighting the UFC at the time. And I looked at myself in the mirror, and I said, this kid's going to be a f***ing world champion.
What is it that you saw at that moment that gave you that certainty?
Killer instinct. He's a bloodthirsty savage who'll cut your throat. And that's the facts. That's the facts.
Crazy Tim takes Dustin under his wing and starts training
He's
him.
finally found what he's been looking for all of this time. I know that he has been waiting his whole life to climb up something and put his hands in the air.
I had not one thought of money or fame or anything like that in my mind. I just wanted to fight. That's it.
And the training is absolutely brutal.
A harmless man is not a good man. A good man is a very, very dangerous man who has that under voluntary control.
Here it is, but natural instinct, and here is control. You are to combine the two in harmony.
Martial arts was something that was a religious experience for him.
That's so pure, and after you go through that, it's almost spiritual.
And in those moments, he found himself. He found a pride in himself. He found a respect for himself. He found a purpose for himself. Fighting gave him an opportunity to not only express himself, but to spend his time and toil his energies in a way that was not only fruitful, but that challenged him and motivated him.
People who say that this is a crazy dream or a fantasy dream that I'm chasing and that I won't be able to do it, what's their dream? what are they going to do with their life?
His dream comes true in 2011 when he joins the UFC.
Dustin the Diamond Poirier, mentored by Tim Crater, but Dustin Poirier kind of came out of nowhere as well because
Tim Crater is very high on this young man and thinks this guy has incredible potential.
Ariel Helwani post-fight at UFC 143 alongside Dustin Poirier, who defeated Max Holloway tonight. Who do you want next?
I just turned 23 2 weeks ago. My 4th fight in the UFC. On a good streak, finishing fights. I think Korean Zombie will be a fun fight.
Enter the Korean Zombie, Chan Sung Jung. Oh, we get to the tail of the tape. It's time! I'm here to get what I came for. An open invitation to bring slaughter. I rain precipitations in clean water. Since the teen, I was deemed a supreme author. You should feel what I came in this game for. You could keep your bad bitch in your Range Rover. I drew up the blueprint for the takeover. Made a couple little flips, now the game over. Said these niggas don't play with me. I done seen them switch they playing them from A to C. Running laps around the city, don't wait on me. This here's why these fuck boys hate on me. Cause my wordplay so birthday, piece of cake. Ground break, my flow on earthquake. Man, I'm trying to get my pockets on every day. Bitch, I'm trying to go green in the worst.
After his loss against the Korean Zombie, Dustin is forced to make the toughest choice of his career. Him and Crazy Tim agree that the best thing for Dustin's career is to leave Louisiana and join American Top Team in Florida.
I came to American Top Team because I want to be the best fighter in the world. And I feel like I have to surround myself with those kind of guys, you know, some of the best fighters in the world. And back home where I was in Louisiana, I had good guys, but a lot of those guys were just like hobby fighters doing it because they enjoyed it. And a lot of jiu-jitsu guys, you know, I needed to be around hungry fighters beating each other up every day.
Originally, my wife she dropped out of college to move with me to Florida to chase my dreams, so she put hers aside.
The choice pays off. Dustin wins 4 out of his next 5 fights until he comes across the man that would completely derail his train, Conor McGregor. One of the greatest trash talker of all time, Conor completely gets under Dustin's skin.
Dustin thinks it's all talk, but when he wakes up with his nose plastered on the other side of his face, he's gonna know it's not all talk.
It's the first time I've ever fought somebody talking like this.
Make no mistake, he's afraid. He's a scared little boy.
It is, it's personal.
So I will go out and I'll put him stiff. He's a quiet little hillbilly from the back ass of nowhere.
His fans were crazy, you know, like attacking my wife and just crazy non-stop threats and cared too much. I wanted to hurt the guy. Not even seeing the footage, I can remember what that felt like.
The man under the influence of the warrior needs urgently to have his mind and his feelings under control. Not repressed, but under control.
That is what shit talking can do to a person, right?
It's the art of war, man. I mean,
What made you so angry?
I mean, did you see any of the lead up?
You ain't shit, boy. You ain't shit. Yeah, you ain't shit.
Sounds good. So,
When the bell rang, I was like a deer in the headlights. It's happening. Here we go. All this, you know, all that talk and everything over the months just sat in my head.
Yeah.
Dustin's anger completely gets the better part of him, and Conor knocks him out in the first round.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Herb Dean has called a stop to this contest at 1 minute, 46 seconds of the very first round. Declaring the winner by TKO, the notorious Conor McGregor.
I will make a documentary about the rise and fall of Conor McGregor in the future, so make sure you subscribe if you want to watch it. But the difference between the growth of the two men is striking. While McGregor succeeded early in his career and let the fame and money get to his head, Dustin Poirier kept his head down. learned in defeat, and continually improved, becoming the superior fighter out of the two over time.
So many people are so concerned with the destination and are so unconcerned with the journey.
Life isn't a game, it's a series of games. And the right ethic is to be the winner of the series of games. And part of that means you have to learn how to be a good loser, because you're not going to win every single game.
The terrible feeling that you get from losing is so beneficial.
Adversity introduces a man to himself. Yeah. So when you win, you learn the whole camp, but when you lose, you learn a lot about who you are too. Some guys just don't know how to lose, you know?
Yeah.
Some guys just don't know how to lose.
One definition of a winner is someone who never let losing stop them.
When going through this journey, was there ever a time when you thought about stopping?
After every loss, it's such a big deal to me. I put so much into it. I would ask myself what's going on when I look in the mirror, because I'm doing everything I could possibly do to be the best fighter I can be.
Another major shift happened in 2016 when, within the span of a month, Jolie gave birth to their daughter and Dustin gets knocked out by Michael Johnson. It's following that loss that Dustin undergoes his biggest inner change.
Put fighting in perspective to me, because before she was born, fighting was everything, and it still is, but it was who I was. And now it's something I do, who I am as a father and a husband.
I was always fighting mostly for myself. This is a very selfish sport, but now having a daughter, I'm fighting for her, and I want to give her opportunities that I didn't have.
My little girl, man. I'm already going to get in there and fight for my family, but if I can benefit other people in the process, I think that's beautiful.
Possibly donating or raising money to donate to help out others.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 5 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards for a decision. All 3 judges scored this contest 49-46 for the winner by unanimous decision. And new interim UFC lightweight champion of the world, Dustin.
I just want to dedicate this fight to my wife. We've been together, been married 10 years. And if it weren't for her, I wouldn't be here. There was days I went home, busted and broken, and she believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. This is her belt as much as it is mine. I wouldn't be here without her. I love you, Jolie.
This sets you up for a fight with Khabib Nurmagomedov for the undisputed title. So give us your thoughts on that.
In the words of our buddy Daniel Cormier, get your shit together, young man. We got a belt to fight for.
For the undisputed UFC lightweight championship, Poirier now awaits the most dominant force in mixed martial arts today.
He's the best in the world at what he does. Smothering guys and finding openings for submissions or big shots from the ground and pound.
Dustin Poirier, he has said this fight is going to be a dog fight. How would you describe it?
Khabib gonna smash Dustin, inshallah. The dog fight is gonna be for him, not for me, you know, because I'm gonna dominate, inshallah. And I don't like poster, they call us champ process champ. This is not champ process champ. I'm the champ, he's interim champ. This is big difference.
Tomorrow night, I unify these belts. Leave as the undisputed world champion.
For my money, that guillotine you got Khabib, and it's the closest he's ever been caught.
Dude, it was so close.
That was so close.
Whoa! Nurmagomedov pops his head out. Crowd goes bananas.
And now Nurmagomedov knows how tired Dustin Poirier's arms are, and he gets that's it.
Nurmagomedov under the chin. There's the top. Khabib Nurmagomedov, 28-0.
Incredible. Absolutely.
I'm sorry for anyone I let down with this performance. I promise you I wanted this more than anything.
I wanted to leave tonight the world champ, and just let myself down, man.
What is it about what you do that turns troubled young men into responsible men?
Suffering. That's what it is. Learning to suffer. Learning how valuable it is. Learning to endure hardships. Finding the weaknesses in yourself and facing them honestly. And making small improvements through dedication and perseverance builds self-esteem, and it builds your belief in yourself. Suffering is our tool as humans to develop and grow.
You should be a monster. You know, because everyone says, well, you should be harmless, virtuous. You shouldn't do anyone any harm. You should sheath your competitive instinct. You shouldn't try to win. You know, you don't want to be too aggressive. You don't want to be too assertive. You want to take a back seat and all of that. It's like, no. Wrong. You should be a monster, an absolute monster, and then you should learn how to control it.
Do you know the expression, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war?
Right, exactly. That's exactly it.
You can be an amazing martial artist and a great fighter, and you can still be vulnerable. You can still be emotional. You can still be empathetic and compassionate. And I think if you're out there and you're scared and you're frustrated and you feel desolate or destitute or there's people out there who are just like you, who have found others who are just like them, and who have found in those others solace, peace, happiness, growth, development.
Kid to, professional fighter. He's my hero.